Hello guys and welcome back to our channel. So today we're going to be a surviving the zombies challenge again because it's pretty fun. What we're going to have here is we're going to have a massive army comprised with a very big focus on ranged units, well pretty much ranged units. And their goal is to survive for a certain number of seconds against zombies. And of course this is completely not a fair fight. These zombies are a lot better than the regular zombies. These are fast zombies, and they also there's just like 100 and something of them. They just have to defeat this ninja over here, well, along with all the others, and our blue team just has to survive. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. There we are, we just have to survive. And there we are, the first shots are being fired. Over here. A couple of zombies did go down. However, now the zombies are going to be making a big impact over here. Okay, the samurai have leaped in and are trying to defend them. However, the zombies are just too powerful. Okay, this line is starting to fire into the backs of the enemy over here. Let's see how the zombies are doing. The zombies pretty much destroyed all of these guys. They just have to last for this number of seconds. Okay, there's a lot of friendly fire. Okay guys, you have to focus up. Focus. Come on, reload. You have to reload right now. There we are, fire. Kill every single one of those zombies. You have to do it. Okay, this is not going that well for him. They are reloading, they're still alive. There's still a lot of zombies though. And they're breaching the entrances. Yeah, all of these guys are dead. They still have a lot of time left. And they have to kill this one guy. Well, pretty much the entire army. Okay. Now the battle has started. Truly, this guy is getting pretty close into zombie territory. He might die soon. Yeah, pretty much all of them are dead. Some of them might have survived. Okay, so now we have Romans over here, and they are a little bit more equipped. They have a lot of powerful units over here. Okay, let's see. We have to have a good volley here. They must take out a lot of these guys. Okay, come on, and that was a nice shot. A couple of nice shots. Okay, a couple of zombies have died. However, now there's going to be a big clash over here. And there it is, it had started. The band bears are all going down, they're all starting to fight him and trying to slash him and stop him. A lot of zombies are just absolutely destroying them, time-based. There we are. However, now the archers over here have started to attack also. The Romans are trying their best to really stop them. There are also these gladiators who are about to charge in and to really help the defenders win this war. There we are. The gladiators are probably doing a lot, however the zombies are still overrunning and overwhelming. There's a lot of spearmen left, however all these gladiators are actually going pretty good, even though we don't really have that much health. There we are. And now it seems like, however, they are starting to die down. Yeah, that guy's dead. A couple of elite Romans over here, however they're also getting pretty pinned. However, they have killed a lot of them, and actually might have killed enough. If they can survive for this amount of time, I think they'll be all good. Yeah, okay, those guys are all dead. Now they have to deal with a mostly elite troop over here, and all of these guys. They do have to kill the Emperor. I forgot to set that objective for them. However, there we are. The first combat has entered. We're trying to clash in spears. Okay, a couple of very elite soldiers went down, but they're all still alright. And they're actually moving up to kill the remaining zombies. So I think they actually did win. Although, who knows, these guys are also getting pretty pinned. Oh, this one soldier is going pretty hard, but however he was just absolutely destroyed. Now there's still a lot more to cover his place. However, this zombie is actually pretty ruthless, getting a lot of good shots in. There we are. There's actually a pretty a decent number of zombies who have been trapped over here, and a lot of them are on low health, so I think I'll just go ahead and let all of these units go, because it's pretty much a victory. It was actually very close though. There we are. Now we can go ahead and charge up and clean stuff up. A couple of soldiers got stuck, but it shouldn't really matter, since primarily there are only a couple of units left. However, these guys might actually get stuck, but all they had to do is survive, so I think they did a good job of it. There we are. I've just stabbed a couple of those units. Now they're all dead. There's one zombie over here still alive. There we are, on to the next battle. Okay guys, so now we have the Viking faction over here, which is actually primarily used of melee units, because I really thought that it would be a lot more fun. We have some special elite units over here, a couple of spearmen, a couple of archers, brawlers, valkyries and all that stuff. We've already seen them a lot before, so okay, the bodies are actually coming in. Didn't really think they would reach, but there we are. Okay, and there we are, first contact has been made. I do think that they're actually going to be pretty powerful faction, however we are getting pretty smacked on over here. There's a lot of spearmen right now in action. Let's go a little bit slow-mo. How are all the other guys holding up? They're still holding their position, good. Good that they have discipline. However, all of these guys seem to be getting buried. However, also probably killing a lot of zombies. Yeah, this guy is also dead. A lot of the first guys who went in killed a couple of zombies. Okay, let's go. Fire the arrows. There we are, straight into them at point blank range. And there's also seem to be a little bit of reinforcements coming. Okay, overall they're doing pretty well right now. However, the archers are getting breached. However, I don't really think that they're doing that much, so at least it's not that big of a deal. There are still these cool hammers, which has been absolutely laying a smackdown, and are still alive and doing a lot of damage. Ooh, however, they are getting pretty destroyed over here right now. You have, ooh, that's a lot of damage right there. Okay, these zombies are alive over here. Ooh, that was a nice smashdown. Yeah, look at that, these brawlers are absolute chads. I think they're actually going to survive this. And yeah, they actually did. We seem to be winning pretty good right now. Oh, okay, a couple of zombies are starting to clap back. Yeah, these barrels over here which gone up got a little bit too feisty, and now they're paying for it with their lives. However, still a couple of archers left, and the Jarl and a couple of his royal men, with a little bit more spearmen over here, and only a couple of zombies which are moving forward. However, I do think if a zombie is ever going to drop right now. There's only a couple of them left. Okay, let's see who else is left. Wait a second, what is this guy? Okay, he did fall off the map. Let's see what is this guy doing over here. Okay, he is stuck. So it seems like this is pretty much a one battle. I just want to see if there's any other units. No, I think this is just the guy. Maybe I can get him out of here so I can finish him. Seems like it can't really happen. Okay, we probably won. On to the next battle. Okay, so now we have a tribal guys over here. I did decrease the time a little bit because I think it just makes it a little bit more intense. All of these guys, there's actually a little bug where I always poking it for a shield, which is kind of funny. Okay, we have the main forces over here with a couple of bone mages at the front to do some massive damage. I expect them to do a lot of damage, and come on, there we are. Nice damage, didn't really do that much because they do have a lot of health. But there we are, the fight has started. The fight is engaging. The zombies are just absolutely piling through. All the spears are actually falling over here. Okay, the rock throws are tossing over here. Spears are actually coming in. And okay. There we are, having some nice contact. Didn't really do as much as I think we would have. However, now the main melee units are getting involved. Now we have the last line of defense till we get to the two bone mages and there he is, the chieftain. Okay, now the zombies seem to be pushing up. However, the tribal units are still holding strong. There's a lot of spears over here. However, I think it's not going to be enough. They're getting breached too quickly. Yeah, they would really deal with a mammoth right now. Okay, come on. You must hold your ground. There we are. And there we are, the chieftain is immediately dead. Pretty weird. Oh, and there we are, we did get pretty beaten up over here. Okay guys, we have a zombies over here, and now we have a renaissance which are going to be firing anytime soon. Now there we are, absolutely lined with a couple of zombies over there. Now these guys are going to have to reload. Oh, and a couple of them still shot their bodies. Okay, there we are, the cavalry charge has been released. They're absolutely destroying those guys over there. The cavalry charge seems to have stopped. However, there are a couple of more of these musketmen who have reloaded and are beginning to fire into the zombies. And yeah, the zombies are getting quite destroyed. However, they are breaching with defenses, and there we are, the clash has begun. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys did die, and a lot of them also died to friendly fire. However, there are a couple of fencers trying to defend them, however, it is no use. However, now the musketeers over here have reloaded and are now firing their shots into the zombies, doing a lot of damage. There are even more of them have now reloaded. However, I don't think it's going to be enough. They are going to end up falling. However, there wasn't really that many zombies left, and I think these guys can still pull a little bit of a comeback. There are a couple of fencers over here with this guy, the Hellboat, who we need to protect. Okay, we are trying to attack now, and there we are, the first initiative, the last battle. That was a bad push, and there we are. Okay, I think this is going to end for this episode. If you enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.